Hey Timber Kids, it's Jesse coming to you live from a construction site, because that's what I do, I work in construction. But stay in tune because it is time for Timber Kids Online! Timber Kids, Jesse once again. It is time for worship. Now the cool thing about worship is we can worship God with how we work, how hard we work. We can worship God with loving each other. We can worship God by being the salt and the light. But right now, we are going to stand up on our feet and we are going to worship God by dancing and singing. Will you guys join me? On your feet, come on!
Jesus is the way. Jesus is the way. Jesus is the way.
Timber Kids, it's Jesse once again coming to you live from a construction site. Now I was thinking of a Bible verse earlier this week where Jesus told us to be the salt and the light. The salt! This salt, man, it makes things just taste even better, and He wants us to help bring taste to the world through us. Watch this video of being the salt and the light.
The Bible, it's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 13 through 16.
Keisha Jones tied the strings of a large white apron carefully behind her back. She glanced at awe at the gleaming silver countertops and appliances in the kitchen of a cupcakery, where her brother Robert worked.
This is amazing.
Yeah, pretty great Myers letting us use the mixer and stove.
Pretty great, you're helping me.
Keisha offered to bake cookies to raise funds for the new marching band uniforms. Even better, she convinced Robert to help her. He clipped a smudge recipe page over the counter.
Brown butter and toffee chocolate chip cookies? Sounds weird.
Trust me, they are the bomb. Robert worked evenings in a bakery for 3 years, so Keisha had to admit, he probably did know. She looked over the recipe.
2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt?
Actually, we're quadrupling the recipe, so that's 4 teaspoons of salt. Robert tossed Keisha a set of measuring spoons.
Cookies are supposed to be sweet. Won't the salt ruin them?
Nope, salt actually brings out the flavors.
What does that even mean?
You want to test it out? Fine. I'll make a batch with salt. You make one without.
You're on.
The siblings worked quickly as Robert showed Keisha how to mix dry ingredients and wet ingredients separately.
What do we do now?
Add the dry ingredients into the wet mix on low speed. Slowly, or you will make a flour storm all over this kitchen.
I knew that.
As Keisha worked, though, she began to hear another sound over the mixer.
Wow, rain's really coming down.
Yeah, and this is such an old building that every time it storms, the power goes out.
I can't see a thing.
Robert fumbled with his phone until the flashlight came on. It always comes back on pretty fast. We can wait it out. Robert settled down on the floor, back against the cabinets. Keisha sighed and sat down too. She checked her phone.
My battery's dying. Entertain me.
What? You can't live without your phone?
I don't know. Tell me a story.
I was just thinking of one. About salt.
Really?
One that Jesus told.
Ooh, that one. Sermon on the Mount.
Well, it fits. You know, the cookies.
Fine. Read it to me, preacher man.
It's in Matthew.
I know that.
Robert settled in with his Bible app. Jesus saw the crowds, so he went up on a mountainside and sat down. Then he began to teach. And pretty quick he gets into this part. You are the salt of the earth.
That's it?
Well, no. I mean, then Jesus talks about throwing out the salt if it loses its saltiness.
How do you even know if you're salty?
I think it's like the cookies. Salt makes things taste better. And people who follow Jesus can make life taste better.
Like chocolate chip cookies.
Robert punched her lightly in the shoulder. You know what I mean. When we share God's story, we bring hope to others. We help to fill their lives with kindness and joy and peace. All that good stuff.
Okay, I get it. Salt, good. There's something about light too, right?
Yep. Jesus says, you are the light of the world. People do not light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. Then it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine so others can see it. Then they will see the good things you do, and they will bring glory to your Father who is in heaven. Keisha shifted, trying to get comfortable on the hard floor.
So when we follow Jesus,
By showing God's love to others.
when we do that, others can see God better and what to do.
Like a bright light. Yikes! Robert leapt up to try to stop the mixer as the power came on. Keisha stood and stretched, blinking.
Like a bright light. You planned that, huh?
Of course.
Well played. Hey, I'm gonna put salt in my batch of cookies after all.
Well played. As Keisha measured the salt, she smiled. The cookies would have came out great, but she had some thinking to do about ways she can become salt and light herself.
All right, Timber Kids, wasn't that an amazing video about being the salt and the light and making chocolate chip cookies? Anyways, it is time for our bottom line, and Miss Christine has that bottom line for us, so pay attention, it's awesome.
love our lesson this week. It's one of my favorite parts of the Bible, where Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth." That basically, we change the flavor of the earth, the people on our planet, because we love God. So when we choose to follow God and we behave with kindness and with love and with graciousness and with forgiveness, we change the flavor of the world. We get to show others what it means to follow God, what it means to have hope and peace and love in our hearts. And that's a big deal. It's not just that Jesus is out there showing love. He needs us to be out there showing love. And that brings us to the bottom line. It's this. God created you to share his story. Not just like me, and not just your mom, and not just the Sunday school teachers. God created you for that. You have specific friends in your life. Some of them I know, but some of them I don't. And God wants you to share his love with them too. And in that way, Jesus said, "You're the light of the world." That in a world sometimes that can be unforgiving and unkind, we show up and change that because Jesus changed it for us. So go out there today, tomorrow, all the days, and share his love and his story with the people in your life. It quite honestly can make all the difference. I love you, and so does God.
All right, Timber Kids, that was great being part of this Timber Kids Online, getting to learn a little bit about what Jesus tells us about being the salt and the light. Now, I would love to see you guys more. We've got some good opportunities coming up. If you can have your parents text 31996, and for the message, they just write Timber Kids. So we're text Timber Kids to 31996 and become part of our online small groups that we're going to be doing soon. So that way we can see each other with our technology and get to see your beautiful faces. You get to see my weird face, but it's going to be fun anyways. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you guys get out there and you be the salt and the light of the earth. Love you guys. Bye, Timber Kids.